I know that in that time, he was just teaching me like, hey, you have to trust me no matter how long it takes because it's not going to happen in a week. It's not going to happen in 2 weeks. It could take 6 months. It could take a year, maybe even 3.
A lot of people don't see our visions is only because their lenses can't go as far as ours can.
That's why I always say, like, I just trust in God because I know he's going to show me what I need to know. I know he's going to tell me what my next steps are. You know, I'm never
Absolutely.
questioning that.
My biggest saying is I was going through depression without even knowing because I was so comfortable with the bare minimum of everything else for myself.
Don't fake it till you make it. Pray about it until it happens.
Welcome to another episode of Trade Truth Podcast. Today I have a very special guest. She's a Pilates instructor. And not only that, I feel like her story today is going to be very, very powerful. And I feel like it's going to relate to a lot of people, including myself. So without further more introduction, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, guys. My name is Alexa Woodman. I'm a business owner. I'm a hot Pilates instructor, and I'm an Olympic weightlifter. And I'm excited to be here.
I appreciate you. And before we even get started, I do want to give you your flowers early on because not too many people reach out to me. Well, people reach out to me, but they don't come with vulnerability. When you reached out to me, you came vulnerable as ever, like we already have a conversation before. So I appreciate you for being vulnerable because that is very important, not only in today's society, but in our own personal growth. So I definitely want to give you your flowers for that.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate
No
that.
problem. No problem. So I always start off by asking all of my guests, how are you doing mentally right now?
Yeah. Mentally, I'm actually doing really good. Right now, I feel like I'm in a very clear mindset. I know my intentions. I know what I need to do to get what I want right now. And so, yeah, that's really where I'm at. If you had told me I would be there, like, be right here right now, maybe like a year or two ago, I would have, I would have been like, no way.
For sure. And I definitely understand that. I can relate to that. I made my pivot, my personal pivot in my life in 2024, the ending of it.
Yeah.
Kind of that New Year's resolution, like that everybody says, I actually took that and created this where we are right now, but created a lot of other revenues as well too. But before we get into what happened a year or two ago, I want to, because this is our first time having a real conversation. I just want to learn a little bit more about you. So go ahead and, just give a nice introduction of yourself, to everyone that's watching and then also to me as well.
Yeah, of course. Well, first, I am a business owner. I have my own business called Alinea Coaching. I do personal training for women and I help them to just create a life that they never thought they could have because I believe that everyone kind of lives kind of an ordinary life in a sense until you choose not to. And so I believe that a lot of people, you can be more than just an ordinary person. You can do a lot more in the world than what you typically think. And that's why I help women and I help coach them on that. I'm also a hot Pilates instructor. I just actually recently started that like a couple of months ago. So it's been a fun journey for me. I always knew that my calling was to help people. And so I think with where I'm at in life right now is I'm just really trying to expand on that, expand on helping people, not just have my business, but be able to go to studios and help women. I also do women's events. It's called Pretty in Pink. I typically do it on a bi-monthly basis. Right now it's summer here in Florida, and so I can't really do outside stuff. I feel like it's like scorching hot,
Yes.
but I'm doing that as well. And then on top of that, I'm also an Olympic weightlifter. So when it comes to fitness, working out, that's where I'm at. A lot of people know that, you can always find Alexa at the gym.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's where you can find me.
Amazing intro. So I want to touch base on one thing that basically like a summary of one thing you just said.
Yeah.
You said basically make that transition, like you help women make that transition to be the person to be the woman that they want to be.
Yeah.
So knowing that you said earlier on, you mentioned that if I would have asked you a year or two ago, you wouldn't be in a mental space like that. So
Hmm.
before we get into the nit and gritty of where you were, what was that decision or what was that, that awakening that made you make that decision to be the woman that you knew you wanted to be?
Honestly, I think it was really when I was at rock bottom because before I was there, I wasn't the person I wanted to be yet,
Hmm.
but I had never really hit rock bottom before, and so when I hit rock bottom, I was like, "I don't like this."
Hmm.
Like, I knew that I was at rock bottom. Like, some people, they don't know they're at rock bottom, But for me, I knew I was at rock bottom. I knew I was getting, like, dragged through the mud, and I didn't like it, and I knew that God had a higher calling for me. And so when I decided to make the transition, it was pretty much when I really, like, committed, like, my life to God, when I was like, "Okay, like, I wanna do what you have for me," because I know He had a plan for me, I just didn't know what it was, and a lot of times I feel like I tried to take it into my own hands, like, I knew He had a plan, and He wanted me to go right, but I'll be like, "Well, I wanna try left," you
Yeah.
know, and so I would go the opposite way. So it was when I started trusting in Him, and I just knew that I had to get out of the place I was in, that I just started making moves, because I would always say, "Oh, I wanna do this, I wanna do that,"
Mhm.
but I would never act on it, and so I finally started acting on it, and then I started seeing changes, and then from there, I was set.
For sure. So,
Yeah.
what do you feel like what led you to being at rock bottom? So basically, what I'm asking is, in life we go through particular seasons or particular situations where sometimes we're forced to learn something, but that learning can be so hurtful to us, it makes us go to rock bottom.
Yeah.
So what do you think? What was the season like, or what were the situations that led you to rock bottom?
Yeah. Honestly, it sounds crazy, because one of my first moves trying to, like, change was I got a job at a commercial gym as a personal trainer. And I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be great. It's gonna be amazing. I'm gonna be able to help people." Because I knew I wanted to help people. I just wasn't sure how to do it yet.
Exactly.
And so I got the job there, and I think that's really just when it all started, actually, because I was doing in-person coaching, and before I had the job, the focus was on me. I was pouring into myself. I wasn't pouring into other people.
Mhm.
And so when I got the job and I started having these, like, in-person clients, and I was working all these hours, like, I would literally pull, like, 12-hour days, like, at the gym, because they had certain expectations of us. You had to hit certain numbers and all these things. And so, I started pouring a lot of my energy into other people, and I stopped pouring into myself. I started talking with other people, and I started pouring into them, and I was all about, "You need to change this about your life, and, you need to do this in order to get here, and this is how you do it." And I was telling people that, but I wasn't doing it for myself. And something that I'm very big on is alignment in life. That's why my brand name is Alinea Coaching, because it stands for a new chapter. It stands for alignment. And at that point in my life, I was nowhere close to being aligned, because I was pouring into other people. The environment that I was in was just, it was not the best environment. Like, it wasn't a supportive environment in a sense, and, you wanna have people that you can lean on,
Mhm.
and at that time, there was no
It
one
was
to
one-sided.
lean on. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So that's very interesting that you say that because I usually tell people about when my story is my between my lifetime and what I'm currently even doing now is I tend to over pour, which leaves me with nothing. But
Mhm.
over time, you get so comfortable with having nothing, it feels like it's a normal thing or a normal place to be in. So my question to you is knowing that you were in a establishment or a business to where you kind of were obligated to pour into people, what were the things that you lost that you didn't pour into yourself? Because like you mentioned before, you stopped pouring into yourself, but what were those things that you cut off in order to necessarily fulfill other people's, needs or requirements?
Yeah, honestly, I think it really started physically, because I was pulling these, like, 12-hour days, and you would think, "Oh, she works in a gym, she must work out in that gym." I wasn't working out. I was literally helping my clients work out. So that was the first thing, and people know, like, for me, the gym, that's where I, like, release any tension that I have in my body, like, that's where my mind can just, like, shut off for a little
Mhm.
bit. I know what I'm doing, right? And so when I stopped doing that, like, I was working out, but I was also kind of, like, inconsistent. Like, I would work out one day, then not work out for, like, 3 days, then work out one day, and it was hard, and at the
Your routine
time,
was broken.
yeah, my routine was completely messed up, and what was crazy was that at the time, I was going back to back in national competitions for Olympic weightlifting, and so it was like I was trying to be consistent, but my body was so tired, and so it got to the point where I started having, like, these aches and pains that I should not have. Like, I was like, "My knee hurts, my back hurts." I'm over here acting like a 50-year-old. Like, and I'm like, "Yo, how am I supposed to be helping these people?" And I'm like 50 over here.
Mhm.
And so that's really where it started, but then that's where it led mentally, because then mentally I'm like, "I'm not where I wanna be at. My body hurts, like, my sleep isn't well. I'm getting up early mornings, I'm staying late nights, like, I'm pouring into other people, I'm not doing things for myself." And it led to the point where I went back to back competitions, and then I had this one competition, and after that competition, I was like, "I need to take a break." And I had to take a break from Olympic weightlifting because it got to the point where my body hurt so bad and everything around me was just it was like it felt like it was falling apart. Like, you're just, like, watching it's like watching, like, a tsunami just come and just, like, not doing anything
Mhm.
about it.
But how was that moment taking a break from something that you love doing? Because normally what, I mention a lot to athletes and to just other people, it's like, once you take away something, like, if somebody take away podcasting from me, it's gonna be a void there.
Mhm.
And usually within that void, other people fulfill it with something else. It could be partying, it could be pouring more into other people, it could be drug abuse, it could be alcohol abuse, it could be multiple different things, because once that void is present, it's like, what else will I do?
Right.
What is next? This is all that I know, or this is all I necessarily care about at the moment. So what am I going to fulfill it with? What was that? I want to say it may have been a season of isolation, or what was
Mhm.
that moment like in your life?
Honestly, it hurt because I had my coach where we had this whole plan. We're like, "Okay, you're gonna go to this meet, this meet, this meet. You're gonna qualify for this meet because it's like I'm in a national ranking right now. We were trying to like lead up to like worlds and like worlds like you're going international, like that type of thing. And so kinda like I think it really hurt me when I had to, like, tell my coach, like, I was like, "Bro, I can't do this anymore. Like, I have to take a break from this. Like, my body hurts. Like, I am spending" at the time too, I wasn't, like, financially stable, and I was spending all this money to travel because nationally, I was going to Colorado, I was going to Texas, I was going to all these places, and so, like, financially, I was taking a hit, my body was taking a hit, mentally, I was taking a hit, and so I was just getting hit after hit, and I was like, "Damn."
It was unfair.
It was hard, and so it hurt. It hurt a lot. I mean, I think the good thing is that I was always very consistent in the gym. So, I did keep going to the gym, and I did keep doing the workouts that I love to do, but at the same time, I also kind of had to take it back a notch because I knew that my body was hurting, and so I can't go to the gym and go lift 200 pounds like I would normally do outside. But, yeah, I think what filled the void really, that's when I actually started going into making my own business. When I took that break, because I was like, "Okay, like, I have time to do this now." And
Mhm,
that's also when I kind of everything happened at once because I left the commercial gym,
mhm.
and then I had to take a break from Olympic weightlifting, but then that was also when I was like, "Okay, well, now I need to do something." And so went into building my business.
Whoa, whoa. I know you're too busy watching the episode, but just take a moment to look at the link down below. Make sure you subscribe to the Truth Lounge. Make sure you join the Truth family. Living your truth. This is the perfect place to be, and I appreciate you for tuning in and watching the episode. So the question that I do have for you is, during that time of you know that void, could you honestly say that, and I usually say this to a lot of people, when God takes something away from you, he replaced it with something new. He gave you that void to allow you to have a creative mind to now think about your business or or other routes that you would like to, attend to. But before you answer that, I also want to ask you this. Knowing that you were taking a financial hit, you were taking a physical hit, and you were taking a mental hit, what kept you going? Because in that time or setting, while you were telling your story, it wasn't, I don't know if it was or not, but it wasn't a mention of God or any other, you know, outlet to reach to.
Mhm.
So if God wasn't present, or God wasn't like, an outlet for you at that time, what kept you going?
Honestly, I feel like what kept me going was knowing what I wanted, because I knew that I wanted a business. I knew that I needed to take certain things out in order to build. I knew certain things, and pretty much because during that time I had definitely pulled away from God.
Mhm.
But God, the way that everyone has their, like, special gifts,
Mhm.
but the way that God talked to me was through my dreams. And so when I finally started sleeping, once I left the commercial gym, which is great, um, he started talking to me through my dreams. I started seeing things like me being my own business owner. I actually saw one of the events that I did, like, recently, actually. It was, like, all these girls around me, and I was talking to them about, like, my testimony. And so I started seeing dreams like that, and I knew that they weren't just dreams. I knew that God was talking to me because that's what he always does. I know that's why I always say, like, I just trust in God because I know he's going to show me what I need to know. I know he's going to tell me what my next steps are. I'm never
Absolutely.
questioning that. And so when I was having those dreams and I knew what I wanted, I think that's really what kept me going. If I didn't have those dreams and I wasn't seeing that vision and God wasn't talking to me like at that time,
Mhm.
then honestly, like, I might have just lost it because I needed something. I needed to see something.
Mhm.
I'm a visual learner.
Exactly.
And God knows that too. And so he was like, "Girl, you're gonna have these dreams and you're gonna do it."
Exactly.
And so, yeah, I think that was really what kept me
For
going.
sure. And now the next question I have for you is you didn't mention anything about somebody being there to support you. So through all of this pouring in, like, one of the I tell people this as well too. The thing that hurt me the most through all of my years of living, or even now at this moment, the people that I poured into were not supportive of my vision or they never seen it.
Mhm.
So I would say things, I would do things, but people wouldn't act as quick as I would act for them.
Yeah.
So knowing, or, you can speak to it, if there was support there or if it wasn't support there, how did that feel? Because with me personally, every time I did something, I usually pour my all into it like I would pour into somebody else's dream. So anybody else's dream was my dream for them as well too. I see
Right.
what they seen for themselves. That's
Mhm.
why I helped them achieve it. But when it came to my dream, it was like I was in a room, bright lights, but nobody there to clap, nobody there to be like, to take my picture of me in that moment.
Mhm.
And you can't take no picture of yourself unless you're gonna do a selfie, but it's still you in the picture. It
Right.
don't matter. So how did that feel? How was that moment of not either having support or having, a bare minimum support?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to support, I feel like I had my mom, right? And my mom, she has been like my number one since day one. And I didn't, because I don't call him my father because he's far from that, but like my biological father,
Mhm.
he left when I was about like 6, right? And so for me, even though I was really young, it was kind of a point in my life where I was like, "Dang," because that was the first person in my life that chose not to love me. That was the first person in my life that chose not to support me. He knew I was there and he knew he had me and he still left. And so my mom has been my number one since everything. Like, she stepped in and, like, she took over everything. And so she has been my number one through all of it, right? And so I had her, and it's crazy that you say, like, you had your friends and stuff too, but, like, they didn't see the vision because it was the same thing for me. Like, with building something and going into social media, like, I started posting and people were just like, "What are you doing?"
Mhm. They
Like,
look at
people
it they
are
look
like
at you like you crazy.
yeah, they're like, "Okay, I think she's lost it now."
Mhm.
Like, in reality, I'm like, "Guys, I've been lost it, like, a while ago."
Mhm.
And I don't know, it's just I had these friends, and, like, when I was building my business, I literally had a friend that was like, "Oh, like, I'm gonna support you, and I'm gonna do this for you, da 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 da." In reality, I have never been backstabbed more in my life because not only did this friend that I thought was my friend, like, not really support me, but on top of that, took the vision that I had.
Yep,
And
do it.
so I'm like, "That'll do it for you." So,
Mhm.
I mean, I feel like it's kind of a blessing in disguise though, because you really get to see who really is there for you,
Mhm.
who really is not there for you,
Mhm.
And so when all of that stuff happened, I blocked everyone. Literally, I cut people off. I unfollowed them. Like, you will never hear from me again because I was like, you guys aren't going to support me. If you guys are going to backstab me, then I am definitely not going to be here for you. Because for me, I think a really big life lesson that I had was to not expect a lot from people.
Can't.
You can't, and for me, I'm a giver, like I want to help you in every single way that I can. But when you have people that don't reciprocate that, it's like, well,
Yeah.
dang, you're not
It's
like
like
me.
I hate to curse him, but fuck me. That's
Literally.
just like literally. I tell people like I honestly I tell people that support is like the one void in my life that I still to this day think I don't have. My biggest supporters are the people that I don't know or barely talk to, and it's crazy. Like I usually like whenever I like post clips or anything, it's always I at least count at least once or twice a week. It's that one stranger that would DM me and be like, "I really need this. I hope that you continue to do this. You changed my whole mindset for this week or day." Whatever the case
Exactly.
may be, and I just be like,
Could be
I
the
wish
people you've never even met.
I'm like, "Man, I don't even know you, man. I wanna let's go get a drink or something together. Let's go get coffee or something." You know what I mean? It's just like but the people that I have in my circle, they'll be like, "Alright." Like, I like to
That's
this
cool.
day, like and I kinda lean back from it now, I just accept it for what it is,
Mhm.
and some people that you love will not see your vision, but it's okay. It's not meant for them to see. Like
Right.
I don't have to necessarily be mad at you or just take my anger out on you because you're not supporting me or don't see the vision. Maybe it's not meant for you to see, but when something happens to you and you need my work, remember what you did and
Exactly.
know that you have to, in order to get my access, you have to start off from the bottom just like everybody else because you never believed it to begin with.
Mhm.
So my next question is, knowing that you block people and you cut people off, did that play a part in your isolation season?
In a way it did, but at the same time, I feel like it was a really big wake-up call for me because, in the back of your head, you're like, "Oh, I think I have all this support. I'm doing
Mhm,
great. I have all these people around me." And then when God really shows you, like, who you do have around you, you're like, "You're around me?" Like, what? And like you said, it's the people that you've never even met before. Because I get the same things. I get DMs that are like, "Wow," like, something about, like, a workout split or, business, whatever it is,
mhm,
it'll be people from, like, Texas and, like, people I've never even met before. And I'm like,
mhm.
"Wow, like, nice to meet you."
Like like,
But the
damn, I wish I
people
already knew you before. Like,
Right,
it's
exactly, like, you should
mhm,
be my friend. Because
exactly.
apparently I don't have much around me.
Yeah, and I think that's, for me, that was a big awakening for me too. And I think we both can agree because we are naturally givers.
Mhm,
So when you give to people, we don't expect, in a sense, sometimes we do it out of the greater good because we believe that is a good act to do, regardless of the fact. But when you are in a time of need or when you're in a time for somebody to pour back into you and it's not there, it's like, damn, all this, like, I probably done poured 10,000 cuts for you. You can't even give me a drop.
right.
And now you rather see me dry and you like, oh yeah, you so strong, you so this and that. But even the strongest people aren't really strong. It just takes that one day, that one action, that one season to break somebody, and
Mhm,
now you're back at the bottom.
exactly. You know what's crazy is that when you're at the bottom and you're in rock bottom, they're the ones that are like, "Oh, I'm here for you.
Hmm.
You can do better," that type of thing, and you're like, "Really? You're
They
telling me
don't
that right now?"
they don't want to touch you with a 10-foot pole.
Exactly.
They
Exactly.
people it's crazy how the imagery of people are when you're that strong person or that giving person. They feel like that you're invincible the whole time we're not. Like sometimes, and I always tell people, I'm fighting battles that you would never see or never know.
Mhm,
But the reason why you would never know is because you never asked. And a
mhm.
lot of people be like, "Oh, well, you don't tell me." Well, you've never asked, so why would I feel safe to tell you? You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
I think everything is a two-way street. Everything is twofold. If you want to know how I'm feeling, ask how I'm feeling. If you want to know more about me, ask more about me. It's simple
Mhm.
communication, but so many people are infatuated with just being themselves or pouring into themselves that they don't understand that they need people around them or need the society that's around them in the future. Like
Exactly.
I can't build my business by myself. I need customers, I need consumers, I need listeners. If I'm just focusing on me, nobody's going to care. Nobody's not going to pour into me. It's
Mhm.
the same thing with anything else. If you don't tend to the people that's around you, you will not flourish, you will not grow.
Exactly.
So now I want to ask you about the transition into your business.
Mhm,
I know personally as a business owner, when you start off, you have a vision.
mhm,
Sometimes that vision does not start off how you want to.
mhm.
How was your transition into becoming a business owner and doing something that you loved? Was the vision accurate in the beginning, or was it kind of like trial and error?
It was definitely like how do I explain it? It's like I knew like I said, I knew what I wanted,
Hmm.
but the amount of rejection therapy I went through was insane. Because I feel like people always show the little highlights of the business and, "Oh,
Hmm.
I have this and I have this." But it's like, "Okay, well, what did you do to get there?" And for me, I was starting up and at the time, I didn't have, like, a lot of content on my page because I was, like, that person that posts, like, once a year to be like, "Hey, like, I'm still alive," and then I'll be gone, and then I'll come back next year. And
Hmm.
so when I started posting a little bit more, I definitely saw people that were like, "Okay, wait," and then when I started posting like, "Hey, I'm gonna do online coaching, and I'm gonna have these coaching spots," and mind you, I've had people literally throughout, like, my whole life tell me like, "Oh, I wanna do what you did. How did you do this? Da 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 da." And then I start that, I'm like, "Okay, let me come tell you," and they're like, "No, I don't want it anymore." And so it was a lot of rejection therapy, and I will say that I really at a point, I was like, "How many no's am I gonna get until my one yes?" Because that's all you really need to kind of build that momentum is you have that one yes, and you're like, "Okay, this is cool. This is cool.
Hmm.
I can do this."
Absolutely.
But even building, I had to go through a lot of trial and error with different platforms and what I liked, what I didn't like. And it was a long, long time before I built. Like I was building my business for about like 4 months before I even posted anything about it.
Hmm.
Because for me, like if you're gonna pay me to do something, I want to be able to give you my 100%. I want you to know that you're in a safe place you have platforms that are going to work with you, not have platforms that are gonna shut down and things like that. So I went through a lot of trial and error when it came to that. But once I had the platforms, it was really going through just so many no's and hopping on calls and people not even showing up to calls, people DMing me, "Oh my gosh, I love what you're doing. I would love to be a part of this." Da 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 da. Ghosted. Like it definitely took a lot. I built my business. I got it all together for maybe like 6 to 7 months. No, probably like 6 months before I got my first yes. And so it took time, but I really think in that time, like God was teaching me like patience because I was not a person that had patience. I was not patient with
Hmm.
anything. And so he was really teaching me like, hey, be patient and just trust in me.
That's
And
it.
so it actually came down like there was this one time I had like 3 calls and they were all supposed to be closing calls. I got
Hmm.
no, 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 no. And I was like, wow. And so I went into my room and I just started praying. I was like, God, like, what do you want me to do here? Like, I don't know. Am I doing something wrong? Like, I feel like I'm following your plan. I'm like crying. I'm on my knees. And like, I just felt this kind of like warmth come over me. And the only thing I can remember in that moment was him being like, just trust me. Just trust me. Cause I feel like in that time I was also like I thought we were doing good. Like and so
For sure.
after that moment, actually, the next week was when I closed my first client. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I had my engagement start coming up on my social media. And then I started getting more like ideas flowing through my
Mhm.
head. And so I know that in that time, he was just teaching me, like, hey, you have to trust me no matter how long it takes because it's
Mhm.
not going to happen in a week. It's not going to happen in 2 weeks. It could take 6 months. It could take a year, maybe even three
Mhm.
you know, but at the end of the day, he had his plan,
For
and I
sure.
had to
And
trust
and
in it.
and that was gonna be one of the questions that I asked you. Basically, was 6 months of no leading you to change your purpose or leading you to question your purpose or God? I mean, you kind of answered that. You kind of spoke to him, but how is that a long period of no's? How is that like, staying to the plan, but receiving a no's and knowing that, okay, I'm trusting God, but the results aren't showing. I know what I'm worth. The
Mhm.
results aren't showing. How was that kinda 6 months? How was that season of your life? Just listening to the no's. Did you wanna change anything? Did you wanna, give up or anything like that?
Yeah, there was definitely certain times where I was like, "Dang, like, do I?" do I do something different?
Mhm.
Like, do I completely change what I had in mind for my business? Like, I knew I'm like, okay, I'm getting no's for a reason, and it's because for me, I'm very big on feedback. And I'll tell people, I'll be like, okay, like,
We're our
obviously
biggest
no
critics.
pressure, but why? Why no? You know? And so I would get certain things and certain feedback, and I was like, okay, you know, but I definitely felt a little isolated. That's kind of when I would, like, lean on the support that I had because I had my mom that was, like, always telling me, like, "Oh, you got this. You're gonna do so good." I'm like, "Girl, I just got 5 no's in a row. What do you mean?" And then, like, I'm over here, like, staying up late at night, and then my boyfriend's like, "Oh, you're gonna do so good. Don't worry. Like, just trust in him." I'm like, "I am freaking trusting in him. Like, don't tell me to trust in him. I am trusting in him." And, and so it was like, I don't know, because in a way, like, I had my 2 biggest were probably, like, my mom and my boyfriend, and then for them to just be telling me that, I'm like, "Okay, like, I love you guys. Thank you for your support, but you guys are also close to me, and so obviously you're gonna be like, you're
You
gonna
gonna
do
tell me what I wanna
amazing."
know.
Right, right, and so that's kinda what it felt like, but I knew that there was all love behind it, and so, yeah, I really relied on that, and then God, and then just going with the flow, honestly. That's when I knew I was like, if you're gonna make me
Mhm,
sit here for 3 more months and just receive no's, then that's fine. And I think that it was also a thing because I kinda got used to hearing yes a lot.
mhm.
Because in my commercial gym, I did pretty well, like, when it came to sales, I guess you can say, is I did pretty well then. So a lot of times I did get yes, but I would get no's as well, but
Mhm.
I have not gotten this many no's, like, in my
It's a
whole
humbling
life.
experience when you
So,
go out on a limb and
yeah.
do it yourself. It's a
Yeah.
very humbling experience, even with this.
Mhm.
I think, when I first started, I'm like, "Oh, man, I'm finna get all the homies on here. I'm finna get the homegirl. Man, they gonna be like, 'Yeah, man, we already talk about our business. Let's get on here and talk about it now.'" No. I'm like,
Ghosted.
"Damn, we do this on the phone. Like, what you mean no?" "Nah, I ain't doing all that." Then someone be like, "Yeah, I do it." And I'm like, "All right, come on, like, I'm paying for everything. Just pull
Mhm.
up." Nah, I'll let you know. To this day, I've probably only had 2 of my close friends on here. Other than, like, the people I met in Tampa, like, my close childhood friends, 2.
Exactly.
And I'm just like, "Damn." And some other people, they hit me up and they be like, "Oh, like, I'd love to be on." And I'd be like, "All right, give me a date." Ghost.
It's
So,
such a harsh reality.
it is. It
Mhm.
is. It's terrible, and it gets you it's like that false excitement, like, it gets you excited, like, somebody sees it, and
Mhm.
then, like, they say no, or they just go ghost you, like, "Damn, did I say something? Did I do something wrong? Should I change up how I respond, or should I change up how I got it set up?" It makes you question yourself, but my next question for you is, taking from when you were at rock bottom, now
Mhm.
starting your business, what lessons did you learn in that entire journey that impacted you now as an adult?
Yeah.
So what were those, like, tough lessons that you learned that now it just makes sense and it's helping me now in life?
Mhm. I feel like number 1 would be protecting my vision, because when I was building my business, I was telling my close friends, people around me, I was like,
Mhm,
"I'm gonna build my business. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that." And then you would have people look at you like, "You're gonna You're gonna do that?"
mhm,
Like, "Yes." I'm like, "What about it?" And so I kinda had, like, random doubts from other people, but it's
mhm,
because they didn't understand the vision I had.
mhm,
Some people, they have their vision, and that's great, but they're never gonna understand yours. And so I kind of have learned to just stay quiet about it. If
mhm.
I'm gonna do it, and then you're gonna know what I did after I did it. After I have come out and I've said it. Because if you're telling people what you're gonna do before and they don't see it,
It's gonna hurt you.
it's gonna hurt. Because it's gonna create that doubt that you don't need. If I had protected my vision more, I mean, at the end of the day, I still built the business that I had, right? But I feel like if I protected it more, I feel like it would have been in a little bit more of a stable spot mentally. Because when you have your close friends, like, doubting you and you're like, "Man, I thought you were my friend. Like, what happened? What happened to the sleepovers that we had?"
Mhm.
Like, and
Yeah, man.
so, yeah, I would say definitely protecting your vision and just do it.
Mhm,
Literally just do it. Um, I would also say listen. I feel like a lot of times I acted on certain things and I
Mhm,
didn't just sit there and listen, and I think that's why God also talked to me in my dreams because that's the only time I would actually, like, shut up. I'm like, "I'm sleeping, I can't do anything," so that's
mhm,
when he would finally talk to me, and that's when I actually listened the most, and that's when I saw the most change.
mm,
So, everyone's different, God talks to everyone in different ways, and you receive different things, um, and I would say just listen to those things, whatever it is. Some people are like they have, like, a certain color that they
mhm.
see, they're like, "Oh, if I see purple, I know I'm good." You know? Like, whatever it is, good
Yeah.
for you, but just listen to it.
For sure. So, another thing I want to add on to is basically when you mentioned that people don't see your vision, um, because they can't put themselves in that position. A lot of people don't see our visions is only because their lenses can't go as far as ours can. Like I tell people, I don't have a ceiling on anything I do. Whatever God allows me to do with the potential that I have, we gonna take it to the top. And I don't know where the top is. Like a lot of people, like, oh, like, are you gonna be a TV show? I don't know. Might want me to be a commercial ad or something like that, or like a talk show. I don't know. Whatever God
Mhm.
has for me, I'm gonna accept it with open arms and I'll get whatever I can from it. And then whenever he's ready for me to move on to the next stage, that's what I'll do. But
Yeah.
certain people can't see it because either it's comfortability or they just don't have it in them.
Mhm.
So now that you mentioned protecting your vision, what is ways because now you're in a environment where you have to engage with people, you have to talk to people. How are you able to scale in a sense to protect what you have? It's sense basically meaning like we both are in a kind of a field where we have to tell people and be vulnerable with people and tell them a little bit about ourselves and just engage. How are you able to, know what to share and what not to share with people?
Honestly, I think it really depends on the person.
Mhm,
In a sense, because before I would just tell a stranger could walk up to me and I'd be like, "Hey, you wanna hear about my business?" Like, like I
mhm,
would just tell anyone everything. And so when it comes to speaking to people, if I can see that that person is truly engaged with it and
mhm,
if they're trying to do something themselves, because some people they need inspiration.
mhm,
And that's why I say, it's not all rainbows and sunshines. I was dragged to the mud, but at the end of the day, I still came out on top. But sometimes you just need that person to be like, hey, look, this is what I went through. This is my vision for what I have
mhm.
now. Like, this is how far I've come.
Exactly.
And so when it comes to the person, that's kind of when I'll gauge if I say more or if I say less. If a person texts me like, "Hey, like, I need help with this and, like, you're my inspiration for this," then honestly, sometimes that's all I need to hear, and I'm like, "Okay, what do you wanna know?"
Mhm,
Like, "What do you need help with?" Because like I said, obviously, I'm a giver, but I did not let people, like, doubting me and stuff, like, change that.
mhm.
Because for me, I know that my calling is to help people. I know that when people reach out to me and they're like, "What do I do with my life? Like, how do I do this? How do I do that?" I wanna be that person that's like, "Okay, I can't give you the full layout, but I can, give you advice on certain things." I'm a lot of my clients, they're like, "You're like my big sister." In a
For sure.
sense, because it's like I'm never one to, like, look down on you. Even for the people that have, like, stabbed me in the back, like, some people, they want revenge, like, they're gonna come after you for that.
Mhm.
For me, I'm like, "You stabbed me in the back, but
It's
I would
their
never do
loss.
that to you."
It's their loss.
It's just how my morale is, like, some people be like, "Oh, you're too nice for it," but at the end of the day, like, it's just how I am.
Mhm. And look how far it's got you.
Mhm.
So my next thing is, and I ask this question to myself a lot, how are you able to remain a giver and not get drained from it? Because it's a natural giving gift to us. Like I
Yeah.
just love doing it. And even usually say in the midst of opposition with myself, I'm still able to give because it's a God given talent for me. But
Mhm.
how are you able to not drain yourself out? Or when you are feeling drained, how are you able to still maintain that attitude or level of giving?
Yeah. I kind of sometimes I just, like, block it off in a sense. Like,
Mhm,
if I know that I'm drained, because like I said earlier, like, I give 100% to things, and I'll straight up tell people, like, "I can't give you my 100% right now. I can't do it." And so
does that
it
hurt?
it it does hurt in a way, because like, I wanna be able to help you, But if I can't give you my 100%, then how am I going to help you in the first place? I'm
Mhm.
just going to lie to you or something? Because that's not how I am. I'm very real with people. Like, people come to me and they're like, I know that you're just going to give me like the black and white about it. I don't sugarcoat things. If I can't help you and I can't give you my 100%, then I'm just going to tell you that I can't. If you
Real.
want my 20% or whatever I have in me, then maybe I'll give you that. But just know, like, it's black and white with me. I'm gonna
Mhm.
tell you straight up. And so I think that's the main thing is just keeping it a buck, you know?
That's the hey, that's as real as it can get. I think,
Mhm.
with myself, I usually, and it's very hard for me even to this day because now that I'm on the scale that I am now, it's like it's normal for people to reach out. It's normal for people to be, it's normal for me to be that safe space for other people. So now what I tend to do is I reference things to people to allow myself from draining myself. I'll reference something or I'll recommend something. When depending on your line of work, what are some things that you can recommend to people if you're not able to verbally or physically help them?
That I could recommend to people.
Hmm.
Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not like a big book reader, okay? But I have read certain books when it comes to mindset shifts and lifestyle shifts. Like, if you need help financially, I might be like, hey, there's this really good book on like finances, right?
Hmm.
Um, I don't know why, I get a lot of athletes, like, that come to me about mindset challenges, and there was this one book I read, it was so good that I can't remember the title of it, but I will always find it on Amazon somewhere, and I will send it to them because 'cause I'll be like, "I promise you, if you read this book and you really, like, dive into it, then, like, this is where it's at," because I feel like books, they hold a lot of knowledge, and it's, like, obviously from another person, but hey,
Hmm.
that person gave you their 100% in that book. I can't right now,
Hmm.
you know? And so I feel
That's
like that would be the way.
that's real. And knowing that you're at where you're at right now, how would you say that your vision is displayed right now? Is your vision somewhat fulfilled, or is it you have a huge way of wanting to expand it?
I think I definitely have a huge way of wanting to expand it. Like, I have certain ideas that come to my head that once again, like, I dream about and I'm like, like, that's a good idea,
Mhm.
And so I'm always looking to expand, but I can also say that when it comes to my vision and what I had from the beginning, if you had told me at the beginning I am where I am now and I actually do have a successful business,
Mm.
then I would've been like, "Really?" And so I can say that it is fulfilled in a sense, but the bar was, like, down here and it just keeps climbing. Like, the bar just keeps getting higher and higher because at the end of the day, like, I'm not gonna stop. If I can expand in certain ways and God gives me, certain visions, then I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna run with it,
For sure.
you
So,
know?
what is since you mentioned again, your past self. Well, what is one advice that you would give right like if you could give one piece of advice to your past self, what it would it be? To like let you know that it's gonna be okay.
Mhm. I would say don't that saying, like, "Fake it till you make it," 'cause
Mhm.
that was where I was that's where I was at, was fake it till you make it. But I would say don't fake it till you make it, pray about it until it happens. That would be my advice to, like, my younger self
Mhm.
because I would fake it till I made it. I would put that smile on even though on the inside it was just all rainstorms and clouds and thunder. But at the end of the day, you have to remember that what does rain bring? It brings flowers.
Mhm.
And so even though it might be really stormy and rainy in your mind, at the end of the day, it brings flowers and it makes the grass greener. And so you might be going through a season now, but at the end of the day, it's going to get better.
The sun always gonna shine in the morning.
Mhm.
Always. So now speaking on that, I think the biggest thing that I want to jump into now is your transition with God. How has that transition been as a whole? Because for instance, with myself, when I made that big jump, I was kind of forcing the church when I was younger.
Mhm.
So it kind of made me distance myself from it when I got older. But when I went through my season in 2024 of December, I was faced to look in the mirror and I had to question myself like, what man am I and what man do I want to be? and
Yeah.
what man does everyone see me for? Because I was the man that everyone seen me for.
Mhm.
I wanted to be everyone's outlet, but I didn't have an outlet for myself, and I wasn't even my own outlet.
Yeah.
My biggest saying is I was going through depression without even knowing because I was so comfortable with the bare minimum of everything else for myself. So my transition with God was very tough.
Mhm.
Just reading the Bible and learning about different things, it was making me figure out like certain things that I did, I should have never let slide. Certain things that I did, I should have did better. Certain things I did, I should have never did in general. But how was that transition with God? Because it can be very emotional, it could be very understanding, or it could be something that it just is very confusing.
Yeah.
So how is that allowing God back into your life, allowing God to be the center of your life to this day?
Yeah. I think what was kind of weird about it in a sense was I didn't grow up in a family that went to church.
Mhm.
And so they were the family that was like, "Oh yeah, like we're a Christian, we believe in God," but they wouldn't act on it. Like, they wouldn't go to church or anything. When I was a kid, when people are like, "Oh, I'm going to church on Sunday," I'm like, "Girl, I'm going to the buffet. What are you talking about?" Like, and so it was actually my aunt, she was more, like, faith-based, and so I would go she lived in New Hampshire at the time, and I would go to New Hampshire, and I would go to these, Bible camps. And I feel like that's kinda where I started seeing, like, what it could be like, what I didn't know what worship was. I'm like, "Worship music, like, what is that?" I didn't read the Bible, when it came to, like, stories in the Bible, I was like, "What are you talking about?"
Mhm.
And so I actually, like, didn't know really much about God, to be honest. Like, I knew that I believed in him, and I knew that I had a love for him, but I didn't exactly know how to navigate that. And so when I started going to, like, the camps and stuff, I started learning a lot more, but those camps were only, like, a week, and
Yep.
so you know how they're like, "Oh, you can go to church on Sunday, but if you don't pray throughout the rest of the week, then what's it gonna do for you?" That's kinda like how it was for me, so I would go to the camps, and then after the camps, I'd be like, "Well, that was
That's it.
fun for that one week."
It was a trial run.
Yeah, exactly. So, I feel like it showed me what I could grow into,
Mhm.
but I didn't have the steps to act on it. And I kind of found God when I was literally scrolling through social media and I found like this church on my social media that came up and it looked like the worship was just like banging, like drum sets, like everything. And I was like, wow, that actually kind of looks like a party. Like, I
Mhm.
kind of want to go, And so I started going and just being able it's like going to therapy in a
Mhm.
sense. I kind of what like, that's kinda what I related it to because when I started my journey with God, I was like, "I need help." Like, I need advice, and, the pastors would just bring the word right to me, like, sit it right on my lap, and I was like, "Okay, so that's how church works. That's
Mhm.
fun." And so I got addicted to it, but then in that season where I was going through the rough times, you would not catch me at church. I feel like I almost felt ashamed in a sense
Mhm.
because I knew that I was at rock bottom, right? And for some reason, I just had this mindset. I'm like, well, I feel like I'm supposed to be pretty good. Obviously, I'm not perfect, but I feel like I'm supposed to be doing a lot better than what I am.
Mhm.
And I feel like a lot of people think, when you go to church, you have to be all put together. But reality is that church
Come as you are.
that is for the people you just come as you are. If you
Mhm.
are literally homeless on the side of the street, you come as you are. If you are broken down, depressed, angry, whatever it is, you come as you are. For me, at the time, I didn't really understand that. And so I thought that it was too good. It was
Mhm.
too good for me. So I was
Mhm.
trying to put myself back together in all these little pieces, but it was like trying to pour like water in a glass that's broken. The water just kept coming out. And so I think it was when I finally made the steps to start going back to church and, just going as I was. Was I sad? Yes. Was I lost? Yes. But I made the steps to go back. And that's when the little tiny glass pieces started slowly getting put back together
Mhm.
until I was able to fill the glass with water, and so I think it was just, once again, a humbling moment. I've had a lot of humbling moments in my life, that's for
Mm.
sure.
That was one of the questions I was gonna ask you as well too, because I remember you said that, you're not used to hearing no's. I think, even that experience by itself is just a humbling matter, like,
Yeah.
I really never got humbled until 2024. That was, like, the biggest and it hurted. It hurt like
Mhm.
hell, boy. I cried, and I normally don't even cry.
Yeah.
20 December 2024? It was so bad that I started journaling. I didn't even know. I just started writing stuff down because it's like, what's going on with my life? Like I got like in order for me to understand, I gotta put it on paper. Anything, if
Yeah.
it don't make sense, I gotta put it on paper, I gotta look it, I gotta feel it and understand like, Trey, this is real. Like,
Mhm.
this is your life. And at that moment, I had to write it down on paper and I usually in that moment of time, I used to go look in the mirror and be like, are you comfortable? Are you happy? Are you satisfied? And if you can lie to yourself in the mirror,
Mm.
boy, you dangerous. Hey,
Yeah.
and that's why one of my biggest episodes that I have on my podcast in general with me talking about my life story, it is titled Man in the Mirror. Like I
Yeah.
really had to face that alter ego or that pride that I have in order to become the man that I am now. So knowing that you put the pieces back together, knowing that you are transitioning into becoming a better woman, and knowing that you have people around you, are the people that are around you, are they in the same mindset faithfully as you? Or it's like, oh, they believe in God, but they
Mhm.
don't really do what I do. And how are you like, keeping them around? Because I know
Yeah.
some people, we got some church folk that be like, well, if you don't go to church, you don't believe in God, you cannot be my friend. Which is it's okay. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I don't say that, but to some people it's
Right.
like that. So was that the case for you?
So, no. I believe that everyone has their own walk with God.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I was where I was at and I had my friends that were, like, at church, like, they should have been dropped me, right? But they didn't, and I always believe that everyone goes through their own seasons in life, and I feel like
Absolutely.
God has put me, like, on this earth to be a vessel, and so some of my friends, some of them are like, "Yeah, like, I believe in God," right? But it's my job, I feel like, to kind of be that vessel for them. I'm not gonna drag you to church if you don't wanna go to church, but, maybe when we're talking, I'll be like, "Hey, there's this Bible verse that I'm thinking about, like, as you're talking to me right now, there's this Bible verse that I'm thinking about that I wanna tell you." I actually had one of my friends, like, this girl is, like, my best friend, and she was at rock bottom. She was going through a lot, and she was coming to me, crying to me, and I was like, why don't you just go to church with me? Just come to church with me for, like, one day, like, and see if you like it or not, right? And it was crazy because most of the time, I don't wanna be that person that's, like, pushing something on you, but I kind of at that point, like, God was like, "Push it on her," right? And so I pushed it on her, and, like, she came to church. It all happened in one night. She got saved in one night, and she got baptized that same night.
Powerful.
Powerful. It was everything happened in one night, and all it took was me to say to her, "Hey, come to church with me." And so it was also in that moment that I knew that I was working. God was working, and he was, like, working through me.
Mhm.
And so that's what I believe. So even I have some friends that are like, they don't even believe in God. Like, they don't even believe, but I know. I'm like, "It's okay. You'll you're in your own season, you're in your own path,
Mhm.
and, I know that God has a plan for you as well." And that's it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's powerful, and just to harp on that situation with your friend, that's just you spreading the gospel. You know what I mean? And easy. I think about it like this. It's so easy to just show up to church, but you don't know what you're getting from church until you
Right.
hear the pastor or whoever speak. It's always a little message in there hidden for whatever season or whatever particular situation you're going through. And when you receive it, you walk out of church like, man, this ain't no coincidence. I was
Yeah,
supposed to be here. You know what I mean? So
exactly.
that is great to hear. That is powerful that you put somebody else in a position that transfer their life over.
Mhm.
So we are getting to the end. I do want to ask you one question though.
Yeah.
When you say you were a Olympic weightlifter, how was that? Because this is besides podcast. I genuinely want to know how was that?
Amazing.
Okay.
It was absolutely phenomenal. I'm actually planning to go back into season, like, once fall comes around. That break that I took, like, I took a pretty big break. I'm still on that break,
Mhm.
but I am slowly starting to come back to it because that was my first love before, like, anyone else came. That was my
Mhm.
first love, was Olympic weightlifting. And so I'm gonna be getting back into that, but yeah, it's a fun journey for sure. You learn a lot of things,
Mhm.
a lot of competitions, a lot of traveling. That's one thing I love is that financially it's like it's hard, but traveling, just being able to go show people what you got,
Mhm.
it's great. The my last numbers were for a clean and jerk, I was able to clean and jerk 205 pounds.
Mm.
I weigh 140 for reference. And then for snatch, I was able to snatch 160 pounds over my head. And so it's fun. I feel like for me, I love a good challenge. I love to be able to have girls next to me that are also strong because I feel like
Mhm.
it pushes me. And that's one thing that I love with Olympic weightlifting is I feel like it's a very supportive sport. You have other sports like, I used to play volleyball. Woo! Those girls are petty. They are petty and they are mean. But when it comes to Olympic weightlifting, like you have these strong girls next to you and it's just like good luck. Like, I'll support you, girl. I've had people that are literally my competition, like, in the back, like, supporting me as, I am working and I'm trying to hit PRs and stuff. I just feel like it's such a good feeling to be able to go out on a stage, show them what you got, and, get PRs and stuff. It's like a lot of endorphins that flow through you. And I feel like that's why I love it so much. And one of the biggest things on why I fell in love with it is because it's like an independent sport. If
Mhm.
I fail, it's on me. If I win, it's on me,
A
you
lot
know?
of discipline,
Mhm.
a lot of discipline, a lot of training, and a lot of focusing. Yeah, that's I just want to ask that. So is that yearly round competitions or is it
So,
how does that work?
typically, it's like a ranking that you kind of go up on, you start with, very, like, local meets, that's where I started, then you start to work your way up to try to qualify for national meets, and
Mm.
national meets, you have meets, like, I swear, like, on a bi-monthly basis, if not monthly,
Ooh,
where you can just go to,
see where that
get your
financial hit
numbers
come in.
up.
Mm.
Yep, exactly. So, you just work your way up on the scale. You can go up to national, you can go to international, you can go to worlds, Olympics, like you go throughout everything, the whole 9 yards. And so, yeah, I'm gonna try to work my way back up. I think one of my goals is to at least make it international.
Mhm.
And so we'll see. I'll come back here in like maybe a
And
year or two, okay?
hey, I ain't going nowhere no time soon. So, I mean, even not just seeing it, it will happen. Trust me. I feel
Yeah.
like just hearing you talk about it just now, you're extremely dedicated to it. So it will happen. It's just a matter of time before it does.
Mhm.
That's truly it. As I mentioned before, we are getting toward the end. So you can go ahead and pick a card and then go ahead and read a question.
Alrighty. I'm gonna pick the first card. Okay. What's something you've forgiven yourself for recently? Ooh, we getting deep into this.
Mm.
Um, let's see, something I have forgiven myself for. I would say probably my walk with God. For a long time, I didn't really forgive myself for pulling away from him. Like I felt really, really sad about it. I felt embarrassed about it in a sense because a lot of times I don't know, it's kind of like, people post like their highlight reels and it's just like they've been walking with God through the whole
Mhm.
path, right? They've had God through them by their side, right? So when I had that time where I pulled away from him and I didn't listen and I went other ways and did other things that he didn't have and plan for me, like I felt embarrassed about it. I felt sad about it. And so recently, like I think maybe probably just, like, a few months ago, I was finally like, you know, it's okay because at the end of the day, like, God was like, "Come back," and look at where I am now, like, I talk to that man in my dreams daily.
Mhm.
So, yeah, it was very, very sad, but at the same time, I think forgiving myself for it was a very big part because obviously in Christianity, forgiveness is a really, really big, big thing.
Mhm. And most often, nobody is perfect.
Mhm.
Um, Everybody take breaks. They may make it look good. They put it in frames and
Right.
throw a little music behind it, but everybody take breaks. Like me personally, I don't know anybody that has been to church every Sunday of their life.
Right.
It's just not realistic, and God understands that.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? If he didn't, then I mean, you read the Bible, you know what happened to the people. Yeah, you know what happened to the people in the Bible, but I know God, he's very understanding and he's very forgiving. So nothing is meant to be perfect. Nothing, and when I mean nothing is meant to be perfect. It can be almost, but it would never be perfect.
Right.
So definitely kudos to you for that. Forgiving yourself is a big pill to swallow with
Mhm.
anything because 9 out of 10 we always feel like we're right.
Yeah.
So I kudos to you. I give you flowers for that. But go ahead and let the people know where they can find you. If you could also please explain hot Pilates because I am a guy that still don't understand why are we going in 100-degree environment and doing Pilates. I want to go. I just don't have the courage to go
Okay.
because it's just like I'd rather go run.
Okay, no, you have to understand. Okay, I
No.
promise you, like,
Oh, bro.
when you go in, like, you're hooked. Okay, I would have never in my life thought I would be a hot mat Pilates instructor. Trust me. But I walked in there one day, and after my first hot mat class, I was like, "Wait, this is really good." Okay, but let me explain it. Let me explain it. So, at least at the studio that I work at,
Mm,
okay, we have infrared panels and then we have the heat. So we have the infrared panels and that's for detoxing, right? So getting the toxins out of your body. The heat, obviously, that's for sweat. And as obviously a lot of women go, and as women, a lot of times we tend to hold water weight. And so when you're working out in this hot environment, it almost feels like empowering in a sense because you're around all these other women that are working with you,
mm,
but you're doing something for you and it just adds like a little extra burn.
mm.
You know what I mean? Because there's a
Yeah.
lot of guys, I've gotten like a lot of like couples and stuff that come into my class and the guys will be like, "Bro, I can bench press like 200 pounds." And then I give them a 2.5, like 2.5, not even 3 pounds, 2.5 like pound weight, little dumbbell, and it's done for. It's wraps. But it's because we don't do reps. We do time. And so you can be in there you can be doing a bicep curl for 2 minutes. And it's like, can you do a bicep curl for 2 minutes?
Mhm.
With just 2.5 pounds? It sounds easy at first, but I promise you, like, you have to try it. You have to come to Orlando and you have to try it,
Okay.
okay?
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
I'll definitely have to try it out, but thank you for explaining it. I truly still don't understand it. But go ahead and let
It's
everybody
good.
know where they can find you at.
Alright, guys, you guys can find me on Instagram at official Lexa, 2 A's at the end, and there, literally, I have everything. I have my links to coaching, I have all my videos, I have my website on there. If you wanna find my website, it's aliniacoaching.vip, and that's where you can find me.
For sure. And I definitely appreciate you pulling up. Y'all, she came from Orlando. I appreciate all my guests that travel to come and tell their story because that means they're dedicated to helping other people. So I definitely appreciate you for doing that. I cannot say that I will be attending hot Pilates, maybe regular Pilates. No, not even I don't even know about that. Cause I seen some men fall like doing all the stretching.
But
It's I
here,
just
like, we were talking about humbling
yeah.
experiences. It's a humbling experience. It's okay to get humbled at times.
No, we'll see. We'll see. You know what?
Don't knock it till you try it. You have to
Yeah.
try it at least once.
Okay. I'll have to come to one of your classes one of these days, but
Yeah.
this is no promise. This is no promise, but I can try. I will
Watch, he's gonna
try.
cut the tapes right here so you don't have the footage
Yeah,
behind it.
yeah, absolutely not. And no recording when I'm there. I hope there's no cameras in the building at all. But
No.
I definitely appreciate you pulling up and yeah, I definitely love to have you for a part two. So
Yeah, of
y'all hear this.
course.
Whenever she's ready, she'll be back.
I will be back.
All right. And y'all know how I am with the outro. Gone.